40 years ago, with very few embassies and even fewer foreign trips, China had hardly interacted with the outside world. It was a remarkable journey to become the largest trading partner. Nearly every country in the world, with the highest proportion of foreign students in many countries, participating actively in ASEAN and G20, not to mention the own Belt and Road strategy. Yet Carrie Brown addresses Chinese policy concerns. The West's naive surprise. Chinese government is not inclined to follow the course outlined for it during its 1990s World Trade Order membership. As shown at the moment, common sense argued that China's participation and productivity would move to profit by the middle class, demanding the right to its disposal, ultimately vote in government. China has also been called on around the world to become a responsible part in the international system.
However, economic development and President anti-corruption campaign have strengthened popular support for the Communist Party. In this way, it was Chinese citizens who became responsible participants in their own system of government, through which they became increasingly wealthy until party control was questioned. China's responsible role in the international system has not materialized quite consciously. This system remains stuck in the post-1945 settlement, when the US controlled the IMF, NATO, and the World Bank. China is unwilling to support a system that is now under President Trump, noticeably deteriorating, and in which China's economic power and huge proportions of the population are poorly represented. Therefore, China is taking steps to create compensating institutions and policies that will compete with the existing institutions, from the Asian Investment Bank to the Belt and Road Initiative and some other stuff. However, China cannot be ignored as an international presence because they are becoming stronger. Its Belt and Road strategy is to build infrastructure from Laos to Kazakhstan. Its students, from many international students in many countries, it imports fuel, the economy.
Well, actually in each chapter on Chinese foreign policy zones, Brown addresses different areas of China's significance. Well, chapters for Zone 1 and 3, concretely its US and EU, are structured around issues such as US vulnerability or reciprocal dependency, and the fight of values, economies and information. The chapters are geographically arranged for Zones 2 and 4, Asia and the broader world, exactly. Brown shows how geographically China is surrounded by US allies on all sides. Diplomatically, it has a few friends and none of them represented well. So, the one of them is the nearest, the North Korea. Well, from an economic point of view, its kindness is welcome, but still with a secret ambivalence regarding China's motives. Well, actually China's heavy insistence on using its own staff abroad inspires some financial demands for a fair response.
Brown shows how difficult it is for China, that it always speaks the language of mutual benefit and win-win action. Even though it is effort to build infrastructure, promote trade, benefit many, few consider motives are altruistic. There are very good reasons for this. China likes to portray itself as magnanimous, despite being a victim for a predatory foreigner, yet extending a hand to a friendship for all. Leadership or hegemony develop when there is a sense of common future, mutual interest served by common policy. As for China, it claims over the entire South China Sea and its saber rattling rhetoric against India. India, Japan, even Australia, Vietnam, and United States make it seem aggressively expansionist country whose talk of a new world order seems to satisfy its own desires. Not surprisingly, that few of neighbors were thrilled.
Students in many countries, it imports fuel the economy of resource exporters from Australia to Venezuela, but more importantly, China has an urgent desire to move up the technology chain from a manufacturing hub to an exporter of expertise. The participation of the state-owned company China General Nuclear in the construction of the British Hinkley Point nuclear power plant may well be a turning point where economic realities first overturned safety concerns. As an overview of the ties and struggles of Chinese foreign policy, China's world is fine. It is clear, well organized, through perhaps a little too schematic, detailed, without being burdensome, and has an impressively broad understanding of a surprisingly complex area. There are many differences over zoning. Australia should get much more attention as a leading Western country linked to China, and China is drawn into China's diplomatic and economic orbit with Australia. More could be said about China's shambolic soft power efforts, and a number of countries would not agree to China labeling some issues as purely domestic, such as the status of Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Yet, whenever it can, China doesn't hire at random. As Brown points out, China avoids some unprofitable places as introducing Middle East and Latin America, so it has no strategy other than formulaic words. Therefore, growing Chinese presence is well chosen, taking up the slack wherever possible. There is never any sense of overreaching, and so this incrementalist expansion feels constantly being driven by real hard power.
The last point is crucial. In conclusion of this book, Brown suggests that if China becomes a key shaper of this century in terms of harmonious, consensual, and the rest of the world supported ways, it will be a true victory for the humanity. But the China's surging power shows in the current window provided by Western stupidity and recession, and it is least inclined to consider supply ties. The 1985, the China's agreement with the United Kingdom of Hong Kong depthlessly downgraded, with Britain powerless to resist Chinese actions, given a clear indicator of how Zogonaki, I will spell it in there, sorry if it's wrong, behaves when nothing hinders it. The reality is that strength and power will continue to dictate in international relations as it always have been. And the rest of the world noticed that China cannot and have never been ignored again. That's all. Thank you for your attention to this video.